right. Welcome everyone to the very first Resilience Growing live stream. I'm Tobias. You might have already seen me on some of the videos that we made earlier and shared with you earlier this week. And just like to say again, how stoked we are to have everyone here with us tonight. We're so, we've lost for words. It's been a really cool program to help develop, and we're really excited for what the next 14 weeks are going to hold. So yeah, I'd like to start by just acknowledging that I'm streaming from the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation tonight, traditional owners and custodians of the land on which I'm streaming from and standing. And I pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. So we've got a bit of a program for tonight of how we're going to roll through things. I'm going to be emceeing, so just kind of holding the ball and passing around people and everything. And got a bit of a plan for how we're going to go over some house rules for how these live streams are going to go ahead in the future and tonight. We're going to have a bit of space to find out a bit more about each other and our goals that we set for our week, for ourselves in this program. G is going to share a bit more about the program itself and about the status of the resilience growing kits, because I'm sure you're all super stoked on finding out more about that. And then we're going to open it up at the end for a bit of question time, as well as a few other things here and there. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to pass to Abby, who is going to introduce herself, and she is going to go over the house rules for the Zoom calls.
Hey everyone, yep, I'm Abby. I joined Farmwall in February. I'm studying finance, marketing, part of the marketing team, and just excited to be here. I guess I'll start off with clarifying what these Q&A Zoom calls are going to be for. Throughout the course, we'll be using these as an opportunity to ask questions live to our urban farmers, but also an opportunity for us to get guest speakers on to speak to you guys. In terms of asking questions, please feel free to write them into the chat box and I'll try and answer them if I can on the spot. Otherwise, we'll cover them in more depth during question time at the end. In terms of muteness, you've all got your things on mute when you entered, and keep them that way unless you've got a question and that you'd like to voice instead of writing in the chat group. And then cameras, we would really appreciate if you could turn your cameras on, because it's so nice being able to see everyone's faces. If you go to the top right-hand corner of your Zoom screen, there's an option to put on to gallery view, which is preferable because you get the big everyone involved, but also understand if your internet can't handle it and you don't feel comfortable. And yeah, finally, let's just be nice to each other. We're all a bit nervous. It's our first time doing this, and I'm sure you guys are all a bit nervous too. So I'll pass it back to Toby, who will continue introducing the rest of the team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abby. So yeah, we're just going to do a bit of an introduction of the rest of the people who are going to in the Resilience Growing team. But we're also really keen to meet all of you guys as well. We'd love to see some conversation happening in the chat. So we have a bit of a question for everyone. If they could answer it in the chat, that would be super cool. And that's what your favorite vegetable is. It's pretty easy. I know mine's probably eggplant. Can't beat it. You know, it's always just so delicious when it's cooked right. But you got to cook it right. It's got to be in that nice, like tender, juicy spot. And crumbed eggplant. You know, I could go on about it for hours. So yeah, chuck your favorite veggie in the chat, and I'm sure we'll see some heated debate. So we're now going to pass over to the rest of the team in the urban farming the Resilience Growing program, and they're just going to do a little intro about themselves, and then we'll finish with Geert Hendricks, the CEO of Farmwall, and he's then going to tell us a bit more about the program itself and the status of your kits, which I'm all sure you're very excited to hear about. So, Cecile, can we start with you? Would you like to introduce yourself? I will unmute you.
Unmute.
There you go.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see so many vegetable names. going through the chat. So I'm Cecile. I've joined Farmwall very recently, like a few weeks ago, in the middle of this weird, funny time. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to kind of start this resilience growing journey with you all, and yeah, continue working with like the Farmwall team. My favorite, I love all vegetables, and I'm gonna say I really like lettuce. I know it sounds pretty weird, but lettuce with like French dressing on the top, that's perfect. So yeah, that's my favorite one.
Sweet. Thanks, Cecile. Now I'll hear from, you may have already seen a bit of Luke already, but again, we're just going to give him a bit more space to talk about himself, and we'll get to see his beautiful face. So Luke, can you do a bit of an intro? We'll unmute you.
I can, now that you've unmuted me. You don't need any more excuses to see my face, because you're going to get sick of it by the end of the 14 weeks. Hey everyone, my name's Luke. I'm one of the urban farmers for Farmwall, based up here in Sydney. You'll be seeing lots of this face and this dumb cowboy hat a lot throughout the course. I'm trying to bring some authenticity to the program. But yeah, I'll be guiding most of the training sessions, the video sessions, and also be jumping into the Facebook group and answering your questions, troubleshooting sort of any growing issues you have, things like that. Yeah, really excited to teach everyone what I've learned over the last sort of 5 to 6 years of this journey for myself. This is a new experience for me as well, but I'm really excited to see the number of people who have signed up. And yeah, you know, in this sort of crazy time that we're all in, it's really cool to see that folks are wanting to get back to basics and, you know, sort of start somewhere simple, start with what they have, and yeah, sort of go from there. So it's really nice to meet you all, and I look forward to chatting a bit later in the Q&A.
Awesome, thank you, Luke. And lastly, we're going to hear from Geert, CEO at Farmwall. Unmute you.
Yeah, you can do it from a distance. I thought I had to unmute myself.
Yeah, I've got full control. It's great.
If you want to. Yeah, welcome all. Like, my name is Geert Hendricks. I started Farmwall together with Serena Lee, who was also in the chat a couple of years ago. We're super excited about this program and how it's come together. Everything that's happened with COVID kind of has taken us out of our office space and into people's homes, and yeah, we're stoked about the potential and of doing this together, and about going on to a journey with all of you for the first time on how we can grow food indoors using the techniques and the tools that we've used for the past couple of years. So first of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to the team at Farmwall. Like, it's amazing what we've all pulled off in the last couple of weeks. Abby, Tobias, Serena, Cecile, Luke, all done an amazing job, and the people that are not in the chat today as well, and our partners, who you'll get to know better and better over the next couple of weeks as well, the next 14 weeks. I think Jacob and Torinda from Coburg Aquarium are in the chat today. They've been a big part of getting the resilience kids together over the last couple of weeks. So the kids are ready. They've been couriered today. So all the interstate ones, they're not Victoria. They've been couriered this morning. So that you should receive those between tomorrow and early next week. So apologies for the slight delays we've experienced in there. It's a super exciting kit. Even I'm getting really excited when I look into the box. It's kind of like a Christmas-like feeling. It's like, ooh, what's in there? But yeah, there's heaps of things in there, and you're gonna need all of those tools over the next 14 weeks throughout the program. So make sure you keep them all close. Might be a bit confusing in the beginning when you look into it, and there's no manual on what to do with it. So that's why from next Monday, tune into our weekly emails and our content sessions, and we'll take you step by step through a journey of how to set it up and how to use all the different elements that are in the box. The Victorian ones will be delivered by ourselves tomorrow morning. So expect to receive your box between tomorrow morning and maybe Saturday morning if it takes a little while. But we've got 83, maybe 84 people even signed up for the program. So we're absolutely stoked. It's going to be an awesome community. It's the first time we know of that it's ever been done in the world. So, and what makes our program different, I guess, to the ones from Milkwood and other permaculture programs is that we're really going to grow food indoors, inside your home, using different techniques and doing what we can with what we got, embracing our failures, setting our goals, but also I think we want to learn from you as much as you can learn from us. And it's designed so we can all learn together, go on a journey together, and hopefully get inspired by each other's movements and translate that inspiration into a next step. So yeah, the box is on its way. We've had some delays with waiting on our supplies as well with COVID. I'm sure everyone's experienced the delays that have been happening with post and deliveries. So especially in the Victorian ones, there might be a few bits missing, like a couple of lights. You won't need them in the first week or two of the program anyway, but within that time frame, we'll make sure you get all the bits and pieces. So you might receive a second delivery in the same week. And then also, the kit is split up into two deliveries. So now you're getting the fish tank and all the different components. In another 2 to 3 weeks from now, you'll receive another box with your live fish, which will be coming from Coburg, and some more bits and pieces and tools that you'll require throughout the program of the next 14 weeks. So yeah, we're super excited. We've got great partners and speakers all through the 14 weeks, an amazing team who you'll get to know better and better during this time. And yeah, I'll encourage everyone to share their experiences, if it's whatever they may be, and that we can learn from each other, get inspired by each other, and learn how to become resilient urban farmers in times when there's more and more need for sustainability and for community. And we believe very much that thinking closed loop and thinking in a sustainable way where we work together and collaborate is part of our future. So yeah, back to you, Tobias.
Thank you, G. Just a note about the tracking numbers as well for all those orders. We have all your tracking numbers and we will update them in the system tomorrow. So you should hopefully get an email with an order confirmation and a tracking number so you can see exactly where the orders are. All right, so where are we up to? So now we're going to pass back over to Luke. We made a video in this week's edition of all the tutorials and things that was centered on writing a goal for yourself for this program. It was about, it's about kind of trying to get the maximum value for yourself out of this program by defining what you personally want to get out of it and what you'd like to achieve. So Luke's going to speak a little bit more to that, and we'd love to open up the floor to everyone as well and hear if any of you have written down some goals that you'd like to share with us all. But Luke will tell you all about that. So thank you, Luke. Pass over to you.
Cool, thanks, Tobias. Yeah, so if you've watched the video on Monday, you'll already know this little bit. Just to fill people in, I spoke a little bit about setting goals. So in a 14-week course, there's a decent amount of time there, and there are a lot of growing styles and techniques we'll be covering. And urban farming and resilience growing is going to look very different for a lot of you. So not everyone is doing this so they can quit their day job and buy 10 acres in the country and start a farm. It's not practical for everyone. So what we want to focus on is setting a goal that's suitable to your situation, your family unit. Do you have kids? Are you in a house? Are you in an apartment? Things like that. For me, my journey the last 5-6 years started with, I wanted to grow some herbs, and I was sick and tired of buying those little sad, soggy, deflated looking herbs at the supermarket in the plastic that's been there for goodness knows how long. So I was like, I'm going to do a little course, and I did this course down in a place called Pocket City Farms, which was a really cool working urban farm in the inner west here in Sydney. I see a few head nods around on the screen. They were an old bowler that went bust and sat there for years and years. It was at high risk of becoming another set of crappy apartments. But thankfully, the council stepped in, and some really engaged sort of the founders petitioned, and a lot of work, and they turned it into a farm. So they grow vegetables and all that kind of thing, and they sell it to local cafes and restaurants. And that's where I kind of got my hands dirty and I cut my teeth in the farming game. But for me, it started out with just growing some herbs, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to grow some basil and some rosemary, and I did the course at Pocket City and started volunteering, and then they eventually gave me a job because they couldn't get rid of me. And then I've gone on to other things that I talked about in the video. So I guess I'd like to throw it out to the gallery, as you were. Yeah, into the chat if you want. You can just write your question there, or you can ask if you want to speak about it if you're feeling up to addressing the community. And Tobias can make your audio and video go live, and we can all have a listen and hear what you guys have to say and what you're interested, what your goals are. Maybe you're unsure what a good goal to set is. So yeah, let's see what's going on.
So if you would like to speak, you can either put your hand up with the function that allows you to do that, or just write in the chat that you would like to speak, and then I can unmute you. Sweet. All right, let's hear from you, Patrick. Once I find you.
Third row from, unless we're all got different ones.
All right, Patrick, you have the floor.
Hi, yeah. First of all, I'm really glad to see you guys. This is really exciting. As I think maybe both of you and Geert might know, I just moved to an apartment. I started gardening at my parents' house maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and like Luke, I just wanted to grow some herbs, and they all died really promptly, and I had like my one successful plant for about 6 months with broad beans, which I was really proud of. And since then, I've just fallen in love with gardening to the extent that it's set me on a path away from my former career to now studying horticulture. But I find myself in this weird position in that I don't have a backyard or even a balcony or an outdoor area because we've recently moved to an apartment. So this resilience program has pretty much come at the perfect time. I can figure out how to start growing things, beyond the windowsill, because I'm just growing things on the windowsill at the moment. And also, ever since hearing about Farmwall and seeing how you guys do microgreens, I've wanted to do it at home and known that I can do it at home, but never really gotten around to sourcing all the components and all the bits and pieces and the fish tanks and all that. And you're kind of doing that all for me now. So this is like the solution for someone lazy like myself. That's it. And my goal is really just to have a sandwich with microgreens in it that I've grown myself. That's it. The moment I have that sandwich will be a big moment for me.
That's awesome. That's a really good goal. It's very tasty goal.
It's a great goal. That my big moment for me was when I made a pasta sauce with tomatoes and basil that I grew like entirely just on my little front courtyard. And it was the best tasting pasta I've ever had.
Awesome. Is there anyone else?
I get that feeling of growing it yourself and then harvesting and washing it and knowing how much effort those 6 little cherry tomatoes took is really satisfying. And I really hope that everyone in this course gets that by the end of the 14 weeks.
Mm. Sweet. Is there anyone else in the chat who's posting in the chat would like to speak on camera?
Oh, it's Pat here. I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yep.
You can't see my photo, and I don't know why. I've been fiddling with it. It tells me it's videoing, but nothing's happening. Yes, I've been playing with microgreens for a while and growing herbs for a long time. And in my downsized environment, which is much smaller than my former 8 hectares, I just want to take it to the next level. And keep on involving my grandsons as I do it, because they really love doing this sort of stuff. And I'm actually having a tomato and basil salad for dinner tonight with this basil cropped off my pot, so I'm looking forward to that too. And that's it for me.
Oh, that's great. I like how all of these goals come from quite ambitious and quite lofty ideals, but they're distilled down into really like achievable things, like making a sandwich or making a delicious meal. And it's another cool thing that you shared about your grandchildren being involved in the course. We actually have over 50 kids who are going to be participating in this course alongside their caregivers or parents. And so we're really excited to how we can kind of tailor a bit of tailor the content to suit kids who are keen to learn how to grow food as well. And because, primarily like this is about education and about learning for all of us. And like if what we can do to educate like the next generation of farmers in our cities, like creating generations of people who take that idea of resilience as just a fabric of their existence, kind of in the way that people used to in the past with growing a lot of their own food. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, I actually, can I say again, I agree, but unfortunately COVID has put a bit of a stop to the current sharing, but I hope that's going to be over soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think it sort of made people stop and slow down, and I think there will be a really lovely sharing community aspect out of this. We'll all be so desperate to see one another and sort of share what we've learned. And on the issue of teaching children faith, you wrote up above, being able to teach your boys where different food comes from and knowing that you're providing them with the best possible food. I think that's a really great point. A lot of us, I grew up in the city. I'm basically a city kid, born and raised. And when I first saw an eggplant plant at the farm, I was like, oh, okay, that's how eggplants grow. And I was in my early 30s by this point, and had never seen an eggplant grow. I didn't know if it grew off a tree, if it was a root that came out of the ground, I had no idea. And I was like, how did I get to this old and not know how an eggplant grew? So I think the younger we can get our kids engaged in this stuff, that their brains are like sponges and they're really keen. That's a big passion of mine as well. I'm really excited at the number of families with kids that have signed up to this, and I'm really looking forward to getting to chat to them and seeing them, play with worms and get their hands into some compost and just have some fun with it and just really normalize this idea of growing food, because it shouldn't come in a shrink wrap packet from a supermarket. They should know where it comes from in the ground. And so great points from everyone talking about wanting to share the knowledge with their kids as well.
Just a question from Ange about kids and the Saturday Zoom sessions, about having to register them. We don't have a formal sort of system in place. When people signed up for the course on the website, we asked if you were going to involve your children in the course. So that's how we figured out whether how got that number of kids who were going to be joining us. Maybe G could speak to that one. I imagine that it's probably fine to just we respect their privacy and their independence as well. So I'm sure if you were just kind of represent them as their caregiver, and then just join the Saturday Zoom sessions and just bring them along. We'd love to hear from them though, and all their perspectives and everything. So but maybe G can speak to that a bit more as well.
Yeah, so on Saturday afternoons, we're aiming to do a weekly Zoom call, as we're doing now with the kids. getting to hear their ideas and how they see the world and what they want to see in the world from a growing perspective and from like an urban farming perspective. But also their learning needs will be different from ours at times. And I'm sure they'll have heaps more questions. So we'll make sure we're ready to answer those at a good pace. Also, the Sustainable Development Goals is a topic that's been very important in a lot of government communication. So we've got 14 weeks. Every week we'll be doing the kids sessions. We'll be discussing a Sustainable Development Goal and how they will be, how you can actually use urban farming and growing food in a community to adhere to them. And then also we'll come up with games and challenges and specific speakers towards those groups. It's not a finished program here. What I can present, what we can present to you now, but every week we'll be working towards a new session and keep that flow going. That by the end of the 14-week program, the kids are very well knowledged in aquaponics, hydroponics, and what it takes to grow food indoors. And they'll also be very excited about their fish and how to look after them, of course.
Mm. And it is also about us as well, you know, us people without kids, you know, we all want to learn as well and become amazing growers. I know for myself, I have a goal of becoming a bit more, you know, self-sufficient and resilient, and, you know, growing my own food for health reasons and environmental reasons as well.
Suzanne asked a question about what type of fish they are. I don't really know, but I know Geert does too.
We've supplied a heater with the aquarium, and the fish delivery will arrive in a few weeks. We'll aim to get 5 to 6 fish delivered, which will be most likely tetras. And then from there on, you guys can keep adding fish to the aquarium according to the program. So you can go out and source some yourself. But yeah, we're still deciding on the specific type, but I'm sure we can have a conversation or poll maybe later in the program on what the preferences are. Yeah, but Coburg Aquarium will be able to provide us with all the needs of the cohort.
We had a question from Brookers. Does it matter what sort of fish are used?
Yeah, they have to be freshwater fish for starters. We're not using any salts in the system because of the plant growth. So we're often looking for resilient fish that can be in a saltless environment. And the tank is relatively small, so we also want to choose the fish that are comfortable in that environment. So it's a 40 centimeter by 30 centimeter tank. Which is a great environment for tetras, guppies, platies, any of those types. And we'll work with you to create a beautiful setup over 14 weeks. I think Beck had a question as well before. So you raised your hand.
Oh yeah, we've got. Let's have a look. Well, I can see one from Dan, so I'm going to unmute you, Dan, if you want to ask something, say something.
Yeah, sure.
Sweet.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Tobias. I'm in Melbourne currently, so right in the middle of the CBD, a bit like Patrick before. And growing up, I was born in Singapore, so everyone lives in apartments practically there, as you can imagine. And just growing up, one of my fondest memories was having my dad's greenhouse in the backyard. He was an agriculture scientist and he used to grow food for us. And ever since, I've always wanted to sort of go back to that sort of time. It was really satisfying growing and eating your own food. I'm under no illusions that we're going to, be self-sufficient here, of course. But I think one of the best things is just the well-being aspect of having plants. Plants make this little tiny space, which is less than 38 square meters, so much more livable. And I think even in terms of mindfulness, it's weird, but even picking aphids off my daisies on some days is a good mindfulness exercise. And it's just become all the more important for all of us now that we have so much more time at home and time to ourselves. So it's good to focus on other things other than yourself, and plants are really good for that. I had a little bit of experience with fish. In fact, and Geert might not remember, but he gave me some advice. We're in the middle of the city, and I was so impressed with the Farmwall crew and how they had studied all the science around this and really engineered everything to really, a great extent. So looking to emulate that and just add some more green and some more living things in our apartment, but also to just bring people together. I think one of the best aspects of gardening is that it really builds community. And having been involved with something called Permablitz down in Melbourne, I'm sure many of you down in Melbourne are very aware of that, but Permablitz has been a great way of bringing streets and neighbourhoods together to build more resilient backyards that grow food, not just things that are nice to look at. So in our own building, we've only got 45 neighbours, but we share stuff. And hopefully with our little worm farm and bokashi bins and all that sort of things, and like aquariums and plants, we're hoping to build a little community that can demonstrate that people can live more sustainably with zero waste in the city. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dan. Maybe something about your Singaporean heritage as well that's brought you to vertical farming, aquaponics, and vertical farming. Singapore has some. I'm sure you could speak to that. Maybe. Yeah,
I'm not an expert about it, but I have visited those sites both in Europe and in Singapore, and it's really impressive. And the greening that occurs on the sides of buildings, if any of you have been to Singapore, it's really inspiring. Of course, they're in the tropics because things grow pretty easy there. But I think just the imagination and, it's a necessity too. And I think it's a challenge to all of us to sort of push ourselves to be that leading edge that Australia needs to kind of imagine these extreme circumstances like now with climate and other pressures. To sort of push ourselves to try be more creative. So yeah, I have really been inspired by living in Asia and seeing people grow things in the smallest of corners. I'm sure many of you through your travels have seen people grow stuff on the sides of curbs that we wouldn't touch ourselves here in Australia, but it's just part and parcel of growing up there. So it's really nice if any of you have not traveled to places where people live in close proximity. I totally encourage you. Well, COVID's kind of ruined it for the time being, but when we do get the chance again, definitely do get out there. It really does put some perspective on the space that we have here and the necessity that most of the world lives under. And that's something we should get on board with. Thanks, Tobias.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I got to say though, this program would never have happened if COVID hadn't existed. It kind of forced Farmwall's hand in a way to try something completely different. And in a way, we're kind of really excited for what this pivot might bring. And especially now that we're seeing all these faces and everyone here together sharing their values and all their goals and stuff. It's super exciting. Super exciting. Do we have, we're also just fielding any other questions about the program at this point. So if you have any questions about the kit or, anything in particular you'd like to ask us, like now's a chance. I'd like to know.
May has a question that I think Geert can answer about what's the advantage of getting the suggested power board. And I think this is also a good opportunity to maybe touch on those other extra items that we suggested getting ready.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Abby. So yeah, the Wi-Fi power board that we recommended is it's very handy because we've been playing around with IoT, which is Internet of Things, for a couple of years now, and we've seen the advantages of what you can do in growing while you're using those technologies. Of course, with a time frame of setting up this program, we didn't really have the time to engineer a whole coded program to go with your kids. So it's basic from a technology perspective. But that's where that Wi-Fi power board comes in really handy, because for like $39 at Bunnings, it's an Arlec Wi-Fi power board. You can control your times, and you can turn it on and off from anywhere in the country. So you can turn off your grow lights or your pump, etc. So it just allows you to have more control, and it makes it easier to use as well, and less not sure. We all the old school timers, which kind of make the kind of annoying ticking sound, and they're quite clunky. So by the time you've got them on your power board, it's this whole this big thing. No, it's not required, but we definitely recommend it. Also, from a grower light perspective, we're testing out an LED smart globe, which we could control in different spectrums. So we'll keep you posted on that. So yeah, the power board's definitely a good thing to add to your kits. In the early weeks, you'll need some seed raising mix to grow your own seedlings that you're going to use in your hydroponic setup and for your garden. What else do we have in there? What was the rest, Tobias, on the list? So a bucket and a watering can, and a spray bottle. So, yeah. Like we're all about closing the loop, so I'm sure we all have empty spray bottles in the house somewhere. So I recommend not to go and buy one, even though they might have had certain things in it, like hot water with baking soda or bicarb soda and a bit of lemon can do wonders to get it out. So let it soak for a bit, give it a good rinse, and that'll probably do to get started. A bucket that we only use for your aquarium would be that hasn't been in touch with chemicals, that you're only going to use for the system. Same with the watering can. So Farmwall and our approach are always with an idea of nature in the middle. So we prefer to keep any chemicals as far away as possible. So make sure that none of the tools you use have any residue left. Yeah, that's about it, I guess, for needs at this stage.
And there's a big, like an instructional video that has already gone out on Monday or will be coming out once you get your kit. Taking you through it, like a little box opening and like guiding through you bit by bit. So anyone who's got questions about the kit, don't worry about trying to scribble everything down that Geert wrote. We'll be guiding you through that, and we'll make sure you get set up nice and smoothly when they all arrive. I believe we got a question from Patrick. Yes, Tobias, if you want to do the honors.
Yeah, I can do that. It's on media. There you go.
Cheers. My question was if there's like an element of the program kind of similar to this, which just facilitates us participants. Of course, we want you guys involved in it, but us participants talking amongst ourselves, because someone in the chat said it's like an online community garden, but which I agree 100%. And half the reason I go to community gardens isn't to garden at all, but it's to actually meet the people there and find out more about their lives and what they do, and also, to scab as much knowledge off them as I can. And just hearing a few people here talk about their background and experience just got me instantly excited again, like that same feeling I get when I meet new people in a garden somewhere. So I was wondering if there's, like separate chats or like a message board or something for that purpose.
Yeah, totally. You nailed it. We have a Facebook group. It's called Resilience Growing. The link has been emailed out, I believe, if I get a nod from Ivy. Yeah. So yeah, we're all on it. A bunch of people have already, I think there's about 61 members on it already. So it looks like most of the cohort's already signed up. we want that Facebook group to be the online community garden. So we want you to share your photos of your seedlings and like all the great like harvest you're doing, what you're cooking for dinner, you know, pics of you guys out, you know, if you've got a yard, like out in the garden, setting up your wicking birds, things like that. Any struggles you're having, any pest problems or, you know, germination issues, all that kind of stuff. We want it all. Like any community garden, come have a chat. Like you know, just pop your head over the fence and you know, let us know how your week's going. We'll try to keep it kind of plant related, but you know, in these times, and I think like we're all struggling. We just want to pop down to the cafe or go to the park when we can't at the moment. So yeah, let's try to bring some of that to the group. And we've all got logins and we'll be answering your questions. And that's kind of going to be the little community hub. So if you're not already signed up, yeah, get into your Facebook and follow the link and join the group. And we'd love to see you all there and share all your wins and your successes and your failures. And don't worry, I've had plenty. So like, you know, we learn from our mistakes, and I've made a lot over the years and killed a lot of plants. I don't say I've killed more plants than I've kept alive, but in the start, there's definitely a lot of dead plants, and that's okay. It's the circle of life. Every dead plant becomes compost for a new plant. So, you know, it's never truly lost. You're just changing its goal. Yeah, it was going to become a tomato plant. Now it's compost for a kale plant. It's fine. It's just it evolved.
Yeah, and great comment from Serena as well in the chat that of course these Zoom calls will also be a really cool place for you to share. Particularly at the end of the chat, you know, primarily we would love for these calls to be a place where we can all share together, and if people have questions that they can open up to the group, and you know, people particularly like if we're having issues with the grow kit themselves, you know, you can open it up to the kit, and either someone from Farmwall can help you, or you know, someone else in the kit in the program who's been able to fix that issue can help. You know, with 100 minds all working together on making these growing kits work, you know, we'll figure it all out in the end. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
There was one last question, I guess, before we maybe start to wrap it up, in the chat from Ange about water needing to be treated or softened, again outside of my.
Yeah. So again, there'll be a video on this, and it's probably the easiest video you'll get. Is just boil some water and pour it in a bowl and let it evaporate the chlorine overnight, and that's it. Most town water should be fine. I guess if you're, pretty much most town water will be fine. Keep it simple. If you're in a rural area or like a regional coastal area where your water is particularly funky and you do have to add additives, maybe send us a message in private and we can like just check that for you and have a look into it. But for probably the vast majority of you, just boil the kettle at nighttime, pour it in a bowl, and the next day the chlorine will have evaporated overnight, and that's the water we're going to start using for our fish tanks. This will again all be in a video, but yeah, keep a few old milk containers or 2-liter juice bottles around to start decanting some of that dechlorinated water, and then you should have enough. I think the tanks are about 30 or so, give or take. So a few kettles worth. Yeah, you can't do it in one hit, but yeah, it's very simple. We've tried to make the kit very, very user friendly at the home end.
Sweet. And that's for filling up the fish tank.
Yeah, we'll learn more about it. It's more in the chlorine is a gas that evaporates, even if you don't boil it over like 2 or 3 days, and maybe a bit longer. In the beginning, it won't make a lot of difference, because the tank will need to settle in for a little while and grow that biological biological bacteria that you need to get the balance right. But once we're kind of topping up the tank with water, we prefer that the water's been set aside for a few days, and it's actually had a chance for the chlorine to evaporate out of it. Because chlorine kills the good bacteria that we're trying to keep alive in the system. Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. Shall we give it a wrap up, Tobias?
Yep, I believe. Yeah, let's do it. So, thanks everyone. I guess. Yeah, thanks so much for coming. It's like we're so, I've said it probably 100 times, but we're so stoked on this program and having you all involved. we have really strong ambitions at Farmwall for like changing the world and getting people growing food at home, and this is one of an awesome manifestation of that. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the next 14 weeks, and I hope you all are too. G, would you like to say anything as well?
Yes, yeah, indeed. Like, it's very excited. I'm very curious as well, like on what we're going to learn. It's a new program. Like, we're all going to learn from each other. It's a pilot program, so it might not be perfect at all times, and you might see some bloopers and some mistakes and some things missing here and there. But like, we'll patch it up as good as we can. Our goal is to bring as much value in the next 14 weeks as we possibly can. In the kit and through the content and we're here for you. We really are. This is, in my opinion, like a really unique opportunity that we're part of all together. And yeah, let's get into it slowly, one step at a time. Feet on the ground, grow some roots, and get going. And yeah, I can't wait to what the next 14 weeks will unfold, and I can't wait to learn more about your experiences and let us know where we can do better. Like, all feedback, good, positive, negative, constructive, is probably the one we prefer the most, is welcome. So wherever we can improve, or you have ideas, they're all welcome. Like, I think we've got all our sponges ready to soak up the experience over the next 14 weeks. So enjoy, a little bit of patience at times, and let's start growing together, because we're going to do some amazing things together.
Awesome.
Right.
G.
Thank you so much, G. Awesome.
And I'm very jealous of your fireplace right now, because it is quite chilly on the East Coast.
Which fireplace?
I can see it flickering and lovely in the background. Yeah. So hopefully everyone stays warm tonight.
I've unmuted you, Ange, if you want to say anything about your fireplace.
It's all for marshmallows. I wouldn't have picked tonight, and now I'm babysitting it now. I don't get to leave now. I'm eating marshmallows for dinner.
Good. Fine. Really nice to meet you all, everyone, and look forward to chatting over the next few weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.